The West Virginia Mountaineers put on another impressive offensive performance in Week 4 in a 33-10 victory over Virginia Tech in the battle for the Black Diamond Trophy, as they showcased a balanced attack, rushing and passing for over 200 yards. Let's take a look at some of the standout performances from that game as we look at the top 5 highest graded offensive players, according to PFF, for West Virginia in Week 4. Let's go. What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Jordan Cruz back here with the Country Roads Webcast. And before I get into this video, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder, if you would, do us a favor, hit that like button, give us that thumbs up right there. That'll help this video's performance and help our future videos performances as well. And if you haven't already, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Helps us, helps you, helps get more of this Mountaineer football content out to Mountaineer Nation. And as always, link to our merch store in the video description down below. Get you a Country Roads Webcast hat, shirt, mouse pad, sticker, print, anything you like, you can get it there with the CRW logo. And that's one of the best ways to support us as we continue to try and grow the Country Roads Webcast community throughout Mountaineer Nation. That being said, let's get into it. All right, so as I stated in the opening of this video, West Virginia with a really balanced offensive performance. And I think this was the type of game where West Virginia didn't really have too many explosive plays like we've come accustomed to them doing so far in the first 3 games, having a lot of them. I think they led the nation in 50-plus yard pass plays or something like that. I remember seeing that stat going into the Virginia Tech game. However, in this game, a more balanced attack, more methodical drive. So it was good to see West Virginia be able to execute on those type of drives and play that type of game if the need be and the occasion do arise, and it did in this one. And hopefully, if it does down the line, they'll be able to do it again. But definitely methodical attack, balanced attack, but still impressive job by the offense. And let's get into the top 5 players from that offense, starting with number 5, and that's the man orchestrating the offense, quarterback JT Daniels with a 75.3 offensive grade in this game against Virginia Tech. And like I said, not too many big plays, but he really just did his job. High completion percentage, didn't make any big mistakes. The wind was a factor on some of his throws, I believe, but he finished 20 of 30 for 203 yards and a touchdown. And I don't know if you've got a chance to watch the Cruise Film reviews yet, but if you haven't, go check that out just to watch the 1-minute drive to end the half that he orchestrated beautifully for the Mountaineers. And I think that perfectly encapsulated JT Daniels as a quarterback and what he brings you intangibles-wise, leadership-wise, game management, and just the moxie and the mindset that he has to go along with the brains and the arm talent that really makes him a threat at that position. And he finishes as the 5th highest graded Mountaineer in Week 4 with a 75.3 grade. And then I think, like as I said, not too many big plays for the Mountaineers in this one, really methodical, but they were really able to control the line of scrimmage in this game offensively, defensively as well, but that's a subject for another time. But I think as we get into our top 4, you will see the true superstars of this game and who really deserves a lot of credit for the performance the Mountaineers put on and the points the Mountaineers were able to score and the drive they were able to sustain were all of these guys in the top 4 as we get into it here with number 4, Jaquay Hubbard with a 76.7 grade, playing right tackle for the Mountaineers. And I think it's good to see him pop up as one of the highest graded offensive Mountaineers because the Mountaineers have struggled at that right tackle spot. Jordan White jumped in there at right guard, and they slid Doug Nestor out to right tackle early to begin the season against Pitt, and that worked well. But since then, since Jordan White went down with injury in that game, West Virginia kind of struggled to solidify that right tackle spot between Jaquay Hubbard and Brandon Yates, with Doug Nestor bouncing back inside to right guard. But hopefully this shows that Jaquay Hubbard is really coming along and may start to take hold of that position. I thought he had his best game of the season by far, and the grade certainly reflects that. And he is really a mauler in run blocking situations. It's just the pass blocking that's been iffy there at that right tackle spot, but he performed well in this game in that aspect. Also, West Virginia had a clean pocket for JT Daniels for most of the game. I think he was only sacked once, and that didn't come until the 3rd or 4th quarter. So his jersey remained nice and clean on that beautiful Country Roads uniform that he was wearing against Virginia Tech. And Jaquay Hubbard on the outside playing right tackle was a big part of that, as well as the run lanes West Virginia opened. And that shows as he's the 4th highest graded Mountaineer with a 76.7 grade. 3rd highest graded Mountaineer, familiar face among the top graded Mountaineers on offense, and that is center Zach Frazier, who comes out with a 77.4 offensive grade in this matchup against Virginia Tech. And of course, the offensive line goes as he goes. He's the one making the calls, the one that starts it all there, the man in the middle. and he is one of the better centers, I believe, in the Big 12 conference and maybe across the nation as well. As he is still relatively young, but continuing to see what he can do week in and week out, and the advantage that he gives you there on the offensive line. You can't say enough about his development through his career and how he continues to progress. And I think he's only going to get better, not only through this season, but throughout his career. And you'll love to see it from the West Virginia native, Zach Frazier, coming out as the third highest graded Mountaineer against Virginia Tech with a 77.4 offensive grade. And then another West Virginia native, which is kind of a narrative here among the top three, you will see. But at number 2, West Virginia native, the other tackle on the left side, Wyatt Miles, grading out with a 77.9 offensive grade for the Mountaineers against Virginia Tech. I think switching him over to left tackle has really solidified the Mountaineers in most pass blocking situations. When the defense brings pressure, that's one thing, and that's been the case when West Virginia has gotten the sacks that they've taken and the hits on JT Daniels and the pressures that they've faced. A lot of time it's been against the blitz and guys misreading it, missing their assignment, or a running back not being able to pick up the block, things like that. The offensive line, for the most part, in pass protection has done their job aside from that. And I think Wyatt Miles switching over to that left tackle spot and protecting the quarterback's blind spot on what had previously been a weakness for West Virginia the past couple of seasons has really helped the Mountaineers solidify what looks to be an awesome offensive line, hopefully moving forward, if this Virginia Tech performance is any indication, because it was the best performance of an offensive line that we've seen in quite some time. And Wyatt Miles, a young man in his own right, only a sophomore over there, but starting for the Mountaineers at left tackle and continuing to progress, and is going to have an awesome career here for the Mountaineers, and the offensive line as a whole continuing to progress throughout this season. And hopefully this is just the tip of the iceberg, because as you see, our number 1 graded player, also an offensive lineman, also a West Virginia native, and how fitting that the top graded player for the Mountaineers is a man that transferred from Virginia Tech a couple of years ago. And in this matchup against Virginia Tech, he is the highest graded offensive Mountaineer with a 79.7 offensive grade. And that's Doug Nestor, who was playing the right guard spot for the Mountaineer. And as I said, can't say enough about this offensive line and their performance. One of the best we've seen in quite some time. And I was hoping the grades would reflect that. The film review certainly reflected that. Being there in person in the stadium and the naked eye, I thought reflected that. And the grades, as we see here, certainly do, as well as the top 4 out of the 5 highest graded Mountaineer players on offense in week 4 against Virginia Tech are offensive linemen. And that's awesome to see. And hopefully the Mountaineers offensive line can continue to do this throughout the season, because if they can, West Virginia will be a force in the Big 12 offensively, and we'll see where the Mountaineers can do with that. But love to see it from the offensive line, especially when you think about some of the hate that Matt Moore has taken, having to take his lumps with young players and not really having the pieces. And this year, finally having the pieces. Last year they were young. This year a little bit more experienced, and all playing together a little bit. And I think we're seeing what that can be. So hopefully this continues to be a trend and isn't an anomaly moving forward. And maybe Matt Moore has turned a corner with this unit, and this offensive line is really going to be a position of strength and a unit of strength for the Mountaineers, not only for this season, but for years to come. And that remains to be seen, and hopefully so, though. But appreciate you guys tuning in for this week's edition of the top 5 highest graded Mountaineers offensive players, according to PFF's offensive grades. If you haven't already, on your way out, be sure to hit that like button, give us that thumbs up. That'll help this video's performance and help our future videos performances as well. And hit that subscribe button. Helps us, helps you, helps get more of this Mountaineer football content out to Mountaineer Nation. That being said, defensive player video dropping soon as far as the top defensive graded Mountaineers in this matchup against Virginia Tech. And of course, WVU football content always coming to you here on the Country Roads Webcast channel. But until next time, as always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and let's go Mountaineers.